Hello and welcome to episode 38 of the Slow Crafting Podcast. My name's Nadine and I'm coming to you today from the northwest of England near Manchester. Now this is a podcast about knitting, spinning, sewing, crochet and my attempts to increase my handmade wardrobe in keeping with a slow fashion or slow living agenda. Right, it's been a couple of weeks, well 3 weeks I think since I last recorded. No major reasons why other than just life and small children and obsessively watching weaving videos on YouTube. Not that I even own a loom yet, but I have become slightly obsessed with it. Anyway, today's video is for me to catch up with you about how I'm getting on with my first outfit for the year and what else I've been up to fibre crafts wise over the last few weeks. So there's knitting and spinning, but there is no sewing, and I will explain why. I'll probably start with that actually. Now, I haven't got my picture with me. The plan that I sewed, if you should go back and look at the last episode, it'll have a picture in of the outfit that I was planning for my first outfit. Oh, actually I could insert the picture again here. And as you'll see, there is a big oversized Stephen West jumper, the mild magic sweater, and then there were some leg warmers and a hat and a dress, tartan dress. Now the dress I was wanting to make with some black and green tartan fabric that I had in stash, but when I went and actually found the tartan fabric, there is nowhere near enough to make the dress, and I thought, well, I could patch it, because it was a shirt style dress. It was, I'll show you which one. It's from in this book, Stylish Dress Book by Yoshiko Tsukiori, and it was one of the later ones, dress V. So this oversized shirt dress, and I thought, well, I've got some other green and black fabrics. I could piece it and have the bodice in one colour. I think I had a green taffeta, and I thought I could do the top in the green taffeta and the skirt bit in the black and green tartan. But then when I was looking at the schematics for the dress, that wasn't going to work, because it hasn't got how to show you this schematic without showing you all the pattern. It hasn't got a separate bodice as such. The back is all one piece, the front is all one piece, but cut in part way in the middle and then gathered and then sewn back together again. So that wasn't going to work as a pieced garment, and I thought, do you know what, I've already got 3 shirt dresses that I could wear with this jumper, and I've got at least another 2 plain black dresses that I could wear with this jumper if I wanted it to look a bit dressier, and I've got countless pairs of trousers that I could wear, oh, bit of a bright flash then, that I could wear with this jumper. So I don't actually need another garment to go underneath it. Now my trousers and my dresses aren't handmade, but they're still perfectly serviceable garments, and I'm not in a rush to replace all my clothes with handmade clothes. I will wear what is already in my wardrobe, and quite frankly what I actually like as well, because certainly one of the black dresses is my favourite dress ever, even though I've not made it. It's really flattering, it's really comfortable, and it goes with everything. So I didn't feel like it was necessary for me to make another garment just to go with this jumper, which was actually quite liberating. So, that's quite nice. And I know sometimes people, when they podcast, they do sort of complain about the pressure to make things for the podcast, and I didn't feel that. I just like, I don't need it. I'm not making it, even though I said I was going to. So that's freed me up to get on with some of the obligation knitting that I did actually have to do, and had a time deadline for. Yes, no garment sewing this time round, although in my next video I might talk about some garment sewing that is not for me, is more obligation makes for various members of my family who've been gifted patterns and fabric for various birthdays or Christmases, and been told that I'm going to make them something and I haven't yet. So I might talk about that in my next video. But also from the original plan, I was going to make some more leg warmers, like the brown ones that I made at the beginning of the year, but this time in black. Although I have to say, it has been unseasonably warm this last week or so. The other day I went out and I didn't actually need a coat on, and it's February and it's the UK, so that's just how unseasonable it was. So I'm thinking I don't actually need the leg warmers either. So they've gone off the plan as well. But even though I said it's been unseasonably warm, I'm not I'm not preparing for summer just yet, because I forgot to mention in the last episode one of the other things that I was making, and that's the Maya's Mama Looker knitted short things for going under dresses to keep your bum warm in cold weather. There's in the UK last year, I think it was snowing up until May or something ridiculous, and then it was really hot over summer. So I thought, I don't need the leg warmers, but I will carry on with the Maya's Mama Lookers. Now, the Maya's Mama Lookers, there was a picture of them at the very beginning on the intro, but then I didn't speak about them, and it's this beautiful rainbow piece here. Now I've got at least another 3 inches, possibly 4 inches of ribbing to do before I get to the exciting pattern bit, and this is on 2.5mm needles. It takes forever, but I can just sit there and go round and round and round and round and round. Now the wool is it's 2 lace weight Zauber balls in the fresh fish colourway, I think, that my friend gave me a few years ago, and I thought, oh, they're beautiful, I love the colours, and it's so jazzy and vibrant and I really like it, but I don't knit with lace weight yarn very often at all, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to ply them together and make more or less a fingering weight yarn. Sorry, excuse me. And then I'll be more likely to knit with it. And I have. It looks very much like the fingering weight Zauber ball in the fresh fish colourway, which I've got a pie shawl knitted with actually. But like I say, I'm only part way through the ribbing so far. But I'm going to have rainbow knickers, and I'm really happy about that. So yes, the last pair that I made, because the pattern has a ridiculously small cast on number for stitches around the waist, and I've got quite a pudgy tummy, so last time I'd cast on almost twice as many stitches. I think the hip measurements were fine on the pattern, I just cast on more for the waist measurements, but I do notice that they are baggy, particularly if I've, like by the end of the day, when I've been wearing them, the ribbon stretches out a bit and it goes a bit baggy. So I cast on a lot less this time. I think last time I cast on about 240, or maybe 280, and this time I've cast on just over 200, I think. It would help if I counted them. Yes, I think last time I maybe cast on 240, this time I've cast on 200. But it's still a lot more than you were supposed to cast on. So we'll see. We'll see how I get on with these. These are just my pick it up when I need something that I don't really need to think about knitting. So that's that part of the outfit. The final part of the outfit was the pavone hat. There's a woolly wormhead pattern, and I was going to be making it out of the Collinet Jitterbug yarn. There's the little black and colour flashes through it. Sorry, the screen's slipping. I get lower and lower down. But I haven't cast that on yet because I've been working very hard on my obligation knitting, which I'll talk to you about in a second. I won't talk to you about my obligation knitting. I'll talk to you about my other piece of my outfit, which is the Mild Magic sweater by Stephen West. And this ginormous piece is what I've got so far. Oh, I love this. You really, I do need to adjust the angle so you can get a better view. Right, there we go, that's better. Oh, the beautiful colours. Now, I'll just have that draped about me. My head's going off the top of the screen now, but it doesn't matter because you can see the knitting. This has been so much fun. Oh, if it wasn't for my obligation knitting, I would have just done nothing else but do this. So the first section is this sort of mesh section here, and changing all the colours and every few rows. It was nice. It kept it fun. It kept it interesting. Just knit a bit more, jump a different colour in, knit a bit more, jump a different colour in, and yeah. I mean, it's magic how it all fits together at the end anyway, just knitting various different pieces and then picking up and knitting in a different direction. And but it's this section here that makes me believe that Stephen West is a genius, because it is, oh, he calls it seed stitch. Now in the UK that's our moss stitch, and I hate moss stitch with a passion. It is my knitting nemesis, really, which it's just so slow, the backwards and forwards, one purl knit, one knit, one. I don't know why it's more annoying than rib or more annoying than linen stitch, but it just is. But not on here. This was my favourite bit to work. I don't know whether it's because it was on it was not just about being on chunkier needles, because I don't even like doing it on with fat yarn on fat needles. I think it was just all the different colours, and it just made it more exciting. Now, and the mohair bit, there is a bit of a little fuzzy bit of mohair. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. Oh, that's soft. I like that bit. And yeah, I didn't really have a plan as I was going through colour-wise. I just picked up what came next in the bag, and I love it. Now I am of course wondering about trying to match it on the other side. Not match it, but as you can see it's gone sort of dark, light, dark, light, dark, and I don't know whether to just try and do a similar progression on the other side, or whether to just go, I'll do anything, whatever comes next. But we'll see when I get up to that bit. And then this bit, look at the chunky brioche. Admittedly, it's only one colour brioche, but it is a brioche and it has decreases, and I did it very, very easily. Now, I'd been quite wary of brioche patterns because I've got his exploration station as well, which does have 2 colour brioche in it, and I'd not cast it on because I'd heard everybody on other podcasts talking about how difficult brioche was, and one colour brioche, piece of cake, just get it done. But yep, even with a really dark yarn and lots of holding, I think on this I was holding about 4 different strands together because of the weight of the wools, and it was fine. It was really straightforward. You just knit backwards and forwards with your yarn overs and slipping stitches, and it just worked. And I really like the really chunky rib effect that it gives. It did make me want to knit a massive oversized jumper, all in brioche though, single colour brioche. I didn't. I did have a word with myself and go, no, that's just not reasonable, Nadine. So we're doing well. It's going to be huge. Now, there are 2 sizes in the pattern. One you cast on 4mm needles and use a finer weight of wool, and the other you cast on larger needles and use a heavier weight of wool. Now, I went somewhere in the middle. I went for a 4.5mm needle and just held whatever wool I wanted together. So some of it is lace weight, some of it's fingering weight, some of it's really fine wool off a cone that is meant for weaving, and yeah, I'm holding like there's bits here, I don't know if you can be able to see some of this cotton, you know, that is a single strand, which is finer than a lace weight. So I was holding several of those strands together, and there's another really fine one as well, so I'd hold several of those together to make one almost fingering weight yarn. So I think as it's working up, I'm essentially using the equivalent of 2 fingering weight strands held together, which is probably why it's going to work out quite huge. I think it's going to come out bigger than the small version, but not quite as big as the dress version, I don't think, or the big version. We shall see, who knows. It could be ginormous by the time I finish, but I don't care. It'll be one of those really comfy, oversized jumpers that it's like having a hug made of wool. So yes, but if Stephen West can make me love moss stitch or seed stitch, then the man is a genius. Right, now I'll talk to you about my obligation knitting. Right, my obligation knitting. I've got another one to do, but I haven't even cast that one yet. But the one I've been working on for the last week and a half is the Vian cardigan by Andy Satterland. Now, for Christmas, I bought my mum some of the Woolly Knits Blueface Leicester wool. I've not got the ball band with me. It's in my dressing gown pocket, but it's in the silver colourway, and this is what I have so far, which looks like a bit of a scrumpled mess at the moment because it's primarily lace cardigan. So it's if you're not familiar with it, it's a fitted sort of cropped waist length, I've got all the wool in a tangle now, cardigan with a lace panel down the back and then small lace panels down the front. So it's a V-neck, full length sleeve with sort of cap sleeves, and it's knitted top down and seamless. So it's, I don't know what I've done. Ah, there we go. Right. So as with other Andy Satterland patterns, it's quite an interesting construction because you start at the shoulder seam and work the back, and then work part of the front, and then join it all together, knitting around, and then add your sleeves on using short rows. Now, originally, I wasn't going to do this lace section at the back. I was going to do that is plain stockinette and just keep these side lace bits, but it would have messed up the gauge too much to take it out, and I didn't want to do the maths of working it out and where it had all gone wrong. Now, there are a couple of bits, and I can see them on this video, where my lace went disastrously wrong, and I might put some pictures in here actually, because I'm rubbish at lace knitting, and because I don't pay enough attention basically. So there were bits that I really messed up, so I ended up having to unpick them, and just that lace section, because there was no way I was doing it across, because I didn't notice it until about 8 or 10 rows later. I just unpicked that lace section and then re-knitted it. Now, as I've re-knitted it, there's bits where it hasn't quite worked out as neatly as the rest, so I'm hoping that at least some of this blocks out, but if not, I might have to do some strange sweater magic to get it all to line up nicely again. But the front is much nicer. There's no mistakes on the front yet. So I don't know. There we go. It's going to look really pretty. I can't try it on for you because it's 5 inches smaller than me in the bust. So I keep trying it. I'm going, no, is this going to fit? And then going, no. But yes, so I've not done as many waist shaping decreases as the pattern called for, because it is very much for a very nipped in waist, and so quite a full bust and a nipped in waist, and that shaping wasn't going to suit my mum. But yes, it is quite short in the body, but it's meant to be, because it's meant to be sort of cropped and fitting at your natural waist height. And I think as well, when I was trying it on me, it looked even more cropped, because I was trying to get it around a much bigger bust size than it's actually for. Having to go over that amount of body was meaning it's even higher up on the waist. But yeah, so I've done the front and the back and halfway through one sleeve, so I've just got the other sleeve to pick up and knit, and then the button band and neck band to do, and find some buttons for it. And it's taken me a week and a half, well no, 2 weeks to do this, which is quite good going to say it's lace, and I can only work on it basically on a night time when the children aren't there, because I can't have small children chattering at me and try and count and do lace knitting at the same time. Yes, but I need to get that finished as quickly as possible really, and get it sent off to a nothing as I did buy her all the stuff for it for Christmas. So that's my obligation knitting for the moment, and that's what's been affecting my progress on my outfit number 1. Right, sorry for the crinkling, the last bit of making that I'm going to talk to you about today is some spinning, because I'm still in my spinning love phase at the moment. So the first finished spin is this one. So it's blues and browns and purples and whites, and it's absolutely beautiful. And this is the bat that my 5-year-old made for me at Christmas. So she went to the local wool shop, and the lady in there helped her card up on a drum carder a bat, and she put in it all the colours that she knew that I liked. So she was like, no, we must have blue, and we must have brown, and we must have some sparkle, and we must have this. I was talking to the woman, and as I said, she was brilliant. She knew exactly what she wanted and got on and did it, and did a really good job of it. So I was very proud of it. I nearly cried when she gave me it for Christmas. But it's got all sorts in it. So it's got baby camel and alpaca, merino, wool, Shetland wool, recycled silk, tussar silk, soybean and nettle. Now, with all the plant fibres that are in it, I have no idea of the provenance of those plant fibres, so I don't know how environmentally friendly the process was for creating the finished fibre from the plant material, because the process for turning some plant materials into fibre isn't environmentally friendly. It depends on the chemicals used, on whether it's a closed loop system, and what the toxicity levels of the waste products are at the end of the process. So from a sustainability standpoint, it's not perfect, but only because I don't know the provenance of it. It might be that it is perfect. But it is beautiful. Now, to spin this bat, I split the bat in half vertically, and then each half I split into tiny little nests, and then spun each of those nests just at random from the bag, and then plied the two together. And it's made quite a, I mean, you can still see pops of colour, but overall it's quite a I don't want to say a blended fibre, because you can still see the individual colours within it, but it is very sort of muted in its colour, and there are it is more blended than the next one I'm going to show you, and I'll put some pictures in of the process from bat to finished yarn, probably about here, just to show you how it started and the various different stages of how it ended up as this finished yarn. Now, the next yarn that I spun is this one. Now you see what I mean about the other one being more blended than this one is. This one is very much brown with pops of different colours in, so pops of blue or pops of purple or pops of gold sparkle or pops of white from the plant fibres. makeup wise, fibre wise, I think this is very similar to this one. So I don't think there's any baby camel in it though. So I think it is Shetland and Merino wools, bamboo, recycled silk, some stellina, I think, possibly for the sparkle, and then it might have some silk in it, other than the recycled silk. But yes, I saw this actually on the desk. It wasn't even in the shop proper, as I was walking past. I want that one, because it was beautiful. And I thought, actually, these plus a couple of other skeins that I've got of hand spun would actually work well to make a cardigan, a striped cardigan. But we shall see, because obviously they're showing quite high contrast. In my head they weren't quite as high contrast, but they've both got browns and blues in, and yeah, we'll see what it looks like when I get, because one of them is some hand spun that I haven't spun yet, and the other one is some hand spun that's in my stash that I just need to check whether or not it is the same weight, because these are both a finger in weight, more or less. So I think I've got about 250, maybe a bit more meters for these, which I think are just a bit less than 100 grams. So, oh, look, it's my colours. It'd be nice to have hair this colour, I think. Yeah, I just want ginger hair. Yes, anyway, so I'll put some more pictures in this, because I did spin this slightly differently. So I split the bat in half, again, vertically, and then one half I split into tiny little nests, and the other half I just split into 4 big chunks and spun from each, like a big section, and then plied that together with the single that I'd made from the tiny little nests. So I do think that it has stopped the colours blending quite so much, but I like the overall effect that that's had. And because I'm not used to spinning from a bat, it was nice to try spinning 2 different styles and seeing what the different effects were. So yes, that's spinning for this week. I'm really enjoying spinning, and at the moment I'm enjoying spinning random single skeins of beautifulness. Now I do have some that I started last year, which are big, like 500 gram spins of single colour roving, that I do need to finish, because I've got like 1 full bobbin of a dark green colour and half a bobbin of primarily black. But it's just not as exciting, and it takes so long as well, because they're at a much finer yarn weight. I think they're going to be a light fingering when I've finished, whereas these are probably nudging up towards a sport weight actually. So it just takes a lot longer to fill the bobbin. But I do need to get on with them, because eventually I'd like to actually make garments from those spins. But for now, I'm just enjoying spinning, because, well, I did go out and buy this one, but this one was a gift, and technically in stash, because I got it for Christmas. And the stuff that I've got on my wheel at the moment has been in stash for a couple of years. So that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just using up my stash. Finding random balls of wool on the settee. That's from me Enchanted Mesa jumper. But yes, so I'm falling back in love with spinning, and I think at the moment it's important that I preserve that love by actually spinning things I'm enjoying and that will eventually become useful, usable pieces, rather than spinning with a long-term view as, right, eventually this is going to be a massive garment all in this colour, which I know is the more sensible thing to do, but I also know that I'll get fed up and stop spinning and move and do something else. So if I spin the things that I enjoy and think creatively about how I put them together to make them usable pieces, then that's better. I will convince myself of this. But yeah, because I've been doing so much hand spun, and I don't know why, but that's made me want to do weaving. I don't know why spinning makes me want to do weaving, but it does. So I've been obsessively watching weaving videos. And my other half has said he will make me a rigid heddle loom, because it is good at woodwork. And I don't know if I showed you it last year, but there was one of the books I picked up from a second-hand bookshop about weaving. I think it's an old Batsford book, and it does talk you through building your own rigid heddle loom. So he has plans and he has started making it, but then he got busy at work and stopped. But I did say to him the other day, are you going to have time to make me that, or can I buy one myself? And he said he was going to make it, so I'll have to wait. But never mind, because in my head, after watching hours and hours of weaving videos, I'm like, right, 2020, I'm going to spin, I'm going to weave. I'm going to have a year of just making my own clothes from scratch, because I do have like fleeces worth of stuff that I could spin and weave, and must stop. Must not get ahead of myself. And besides, the loom that he's making me is about 12 inches wide, so that's going to be ridiculously fiddly for making cloth with. But never mind. Sorry, I've got a really croaky throat today. Not as croaky as my little girl's though. She's got a really husky voice at the moment. She sounds so funny. But yes, so that's the spinning for this time round.